Backlash, personally defending senior advisor Jared Kushner against the media's latest controversy.
And it's another piece that has Russia in the headline, Trump people in the headline, and thus it's supposed to be scandalous.
We're live in Washington this morning.
And fists flying on the House floor, a chaotic scene as protests erupt in Texas over the state's controversial sanctuary city bill. But it's the lawmakers, not the protesters, getting physical.
And from the links to lockup, Tiger Woods breaking his silence about his DUI arrest and that mugshot we've all seen now. The American golfer saying alcohol was not a factor. So exactly what happened here? Fox and Friends First starts right now.
Morning to you. A little J-Lo to get you moving this morning. From the streets of New York City to wherever you're waking up today. You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Tuesday morning. I'm Heather Childers.
And I'm Rob Schmidt. Good morning. Thanks for starting your day with us. President Trump standing by his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, amid the mainstream media frenzy over alleged back-channel communications with Russia.
And a source tells Fox News that the media has got it all wrong. Griff Jenkins is following the developments in Washington for us, and he has more. Good morning, Griff.
Good morning, Heather and Rob. President Trump is standing firmly behind his son-in-law against allegations that he tried to set up a secret back channel with Russia, telling the New York Times, quote, Jared is doing a great job for the country. I have total confidence in him. DHS Secretary John Kelly also defending Kushner over the weekend, saying that establishing communications with a country like Russia is a good thing. Now, a source close to Kushner tells Fox News that it was the Russians, not Kushner, who first raised the idea of a secret communications channel and was only discussed for a single call about Syria, not as a permanent channel, as some in the media have alleged. But Senator John McCain, he doesn't like it.
I don't like it. I just don't. I know that some administration officials are saying, well, that's standard procedure. I don't think it's standard procedure prior to the inauguration of a president of the United States by someone who is not in an appointed position.
Former national spokeswoman Katrina Pearson saying that all of this will be cleared up by Kushner.
Jared Kushner was the first person to say that I will go in and I will talk to any of the committees that are investigating this ridiculous allegation. He has never kept anything secret. He said he'll meet with anyone, anytime, for however long it takes to clear up this mess.
But Democrats are piling on. The top Democrat on the House Intel Committee, Adam Schiff, calling for a security clearance, and Ruben Gallego suggesting that he needs to go back to doing real estate in New York. And finally, guys, before we hear from Jared Kushner, Sean Spicer returns to the briefing room today. That should be very interesting. A lot of questions about this.
And there was a question about Sean Spicer himself.
Yeah. All right, Griff, Griff, thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, Fox News contributor Charles Krauthammer saying back-channel communications, calling out the media for trying to find a scandal. Well, we're talking about back-channel communications, and Krauthammer's calling out the media for trying to find a scandal in everything that comes out of the White House.
We've had back-channel connections with adversaries for generations. Henry Kissinger had them with the Russians and the Chinese. Hillary had a back channel to establish the opening of negotiations with the Iranians in what ended up as the Iranian nuclear deal. This happens all the time. I don't quite understand where's the crime, other than it's another piece that has Russia in the headline, Trump people in the headline, and thus it's supposed to be scandalous. Show me.
A lot of people have seen this. Tiger Woods says he did not do it. The golf great claiming that his DUI arrest in Florida was because of an unexpected reaction to his medication, not because he was drunk. Look at this embarrassing mugshot there. Well, some dash cam footage as well could be released as early as today. Officers claim that the star was belligerent. They say he was arrogant, refusing to take a breathalyzer test. The incident could cost the 41-year-old hundreds of millions of dollars in sponsorships. And Woods was suspected of DUI after a crash outside his Florida home. You may remember that was back in 2009. That incident revealing his infidelity to his wife.
All right, a GOP lawmaker's call to ICE reporting unhinged liberal protesters, sparking a fight on the House floor in Texas. Things getting physical over an immigration bill. Kelly Wright live in D.C. this morning with details on some violent allegations. Hey, Kelly.
Rob, good morning to you. The protests over the new law cracking down on sanctuary cities in Texas turned ugly and hostile. Protesters wearing red T-shirts bussed in from New York and California took their stand against the new law. From the gallery, they shouted so loud they actually drowned out lawmakers as they conducted their regular session of the Texas legislature. Police officers moved in to remove the protesters from the gallery, but on the House floor, even lawmakers were soon caught up in emotion, pushing and shoving each other in anger. The confrontation triggered by the protesters and some lawmakers exchanging dangerous threats to each other. Republican lawmaker Matt Rinaldi and Democrat Pancho Narvaez verbally threatening to hurt each other. Narvaez telling Rinaldi that he would get him. Rinaldi taking to social media, posting on Facebook this: "Today, Representative Pancho Narvaez threatened my life on the House floor after I called ICE on several illegal immigrants who held signs in the gallery which said, 'I am illegal and here to stay.'" Several Democrats encouraged the protesters to disobey law enforcement.
We both, what? What do you mean? You did what? He said, yeah, I called ICE. And then he said, F them.
You say things to incite people. Right. Okay, and that's exactly what I did.
The heated moments only intensified later when, during a brief news conference, Narvaez claimed Rinaldi said he would put a bullet in his head. All this volatility stemming from the new Texas law stopping the practice of sanctuary cities, which goes into effect September. Rob?
Okay, Kelly, wow. What a story. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly. Well, take a look at this blue suitcase. It could help bust the Manchester bombers' terror ring, apparently. British police releasing this photo showing Salman Abedi with the luggage just hours before the deadly concert attack. It is unclear what is inside. Police are asking anyone who sees it, though, to call them immediately. 16 people have been arrested at this point in connection with the attack. 14 remain in custody. The bombing at the Ariana Grande concert leaving 22 dead, more than 100 injured.
Some breaking news from overnight. Former Panamanian dictator and drug trafficker Manuel Noriega has died. The former ruler, known for his brutality, had been hospitalized since March with complications from brain surgery. He was a one-time CIA informant, if you can believe it. Noriega was forced from power by an American invasion in 1989. He served a 17-year drug sentence in the United States before then facing time in France and in Panama. Manuel Noriega was 83 years old.
Well, today the White House will test America's ability to defend against North Korea's growing nuclear threat. The Pentagon firing off a long-range interceptor over the Pacific Ocean, testing its capabilities to shoot down a missile. Now, this comes as Kim Jong-un vows to send a bigger, quote, gift package to the U.S. after a series of successful launches. Now, this latest landing in Japan's exclusive economic zone, the country promising to retaliate. That is a scary story. The whole North Korea situation.
Such a mess with this guy. He's nuts. Yeah. All right, to extreme weather now. Severe storms ripping through the Midwest, leaving a deadly path of destruction.
Yeah, 2 people are dead after their car was washed off the road in Branson, Missouri during flash flooding. First responders still searching for that driver.
That's a terrible story there. We turn now to Janice Dean, live with where that storm is now headed. Hey, Janice.
Hi, good morning, Rob and Heather. Yeah, we have scattered showers and thunderstorms for the upper Midwest, back through the Northeast and the Great Lakes, as well as the central U.S. Let's take a look at your current temperatures. Very spring-like. We've got a lot of 40s and 50s on the map. Cooler than average across the eastern tier of the country and the Northeast. There's your satellite radar imagery. The good news is we don't have any big storms, but we are going to see nuisance rain showers anywhere from the Northeast, the Great Lakes, the Midwest, back down to the Gulf Coast as well. well as the Rockies. Nothing organized, but we could see, some scattered showers here and there, some of them reaching severe limits, but we're not going to see a tornado outbreak or anything like that. Some large hail, some damaging winds are possible. There's your future radar. You can see the unsettled weather again across the eastern U.S. and the Rockies, and there's the rainfall forecast. So not a huge storm system, but we are going to see on and off showers throughout the rest of the work week into the weekend, especially for the eastern third of the country. Heading into June, I'm hopeful we'll get some warmer weather around here, the Northeast. Back to you, Heather.
Yeah, this feels like April, May.
It does. You're absolutely right.
I like it, though. Not too warm.
I kind of like it, too. Rob's the only one in the room that doesn't.
Yeah, well,
I'm always complaining about something. You know how I am.
Yes.
Pain in the butt. All right. Thanks so much.
You got it.
All right. Days after a catastrophic IT failure, passengers on British Airways still can't find their luggage.
And apparently that's not all.
Yeah.
Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox Business, here with the massive bill that they might soon be facing. Cheryl?
Well, good morning, guys. A rough weekend for British Airways after that massive IT meltdown that affected more than 1,000 flights. The airline now facing a potential $120 million plus bill as a result. Between compensation for stranded travelers to lost business and various customer care issues, the airline still has not returned to normal operations. All the airline's flights from Heathrow and Gatwick were grounded Saturday because of that computer issue. Well, the city of Boston has announced a tuition-free college pilot program for Boston high school grads, enabling low-income students to get four-year degrees without paying tuition. It's called the Boston Bridge and will be open to all 2017 high school grads who live in the city. Students will need to meet federal Pell Grant income standards. New York college students, by the way, can apply for their state's free tuition plan beginning next month. The New York initiative covers tuition at state universities for full-time in-state students of low-income families. And finally, Melania Trump's $51,000 designer jacket worn on that overseas trip is really shining a new light on the uber high-end luxury fashion market. Only accessible to the very few, experts say her wearing that jacket could boost sales of items that are handmade with, of course, hours of embroidery needed. We should say her jacket, by the way, Dolce & Gabbana. Back to you.
I liked it. It was very nice. Very nice jacket. Thank you, Cheryl. Yeah. Well, the time now is 10 minutes after the top of the hour. And coming up, Vladimir Putin. Do you think he's more dangerous than ISIS?
I think he is the premier and most important threat, more so than ISIS.
Well, apparently John McCain thinks so.
Also, flag fury and a disgusting sign of disrespect, the outrage as a veterans tribute is vandalized on Memorial Day.
And did you see? Fox and Friends first, Senator John McCain calling Russia a bigger threat to the world than ISIS. In an Australian interview, he says that Putin tried to destroy the fundamentals of democracy and the U.S. hasn't done anything to stop him.
I think he is the premier and most important threat, more so than ISIS. We have done nothing in response to the election last November to respond to Vladimir Putin's attempt to change the outcome of our elections. So, way to go, Vladimir. We haven't responded at all to it.
McCain also calling for tougher sanctions against Russia. Apparently, Islam is on track to take over Christianity as the world's #1 religion. A Pew Research report projects the Muslim population will grow by 70% worldwide between 2015 and 2060. Christianity is only expected to grow 34% in that same time frame. Now, the study says it all comes down to demographics. Muslims are younger, and they have more babies than Christians.
All right, Secretary of Homeland Security John Kelly blasting the leaks that have been plaguing the White House.
It's borderline, if not over the line of treason. I believe when you leak the kind of information that seems to be routinely leaked, the high level of classification.
right, but could these confidential intelligence leaks also be putting American lives at risk? That's the big question. Our safety. Let's ask retired CIA officer and author of Jawbreaker, Gary Bernsen. Gary, thanks so much for coming in early this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I asked John Kelly actually last week whether or not, the leaks, do they put us in a situation where other countries might not want to share information with us anymore, and that could put us in danger. You say you wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, look, if there is a leak of intelligence information and it's attributable to a human source, it can put that source at risk. But the truth is a lot of people say in theory that if information's being leaked that other governments aren't going to share with us. The truth, though, is other governments dare not share with us. The CIA is a intelligence superpower with massive human and technical programs globally that it shares with all of its allies and even some of its adversaries because we're trying to save lives. And people dare not share with us because they don't want to be cut off by this thing. It's just a fact. In principle, you've got the entire media saying this is going to cause, lives are going to die, Americans are going to die, and it's a gigantic, echo chamber of the uninformed.
Yeah. And I can understand that. I mean, why would you not want us on your side, especially when it comes to intelligence? Of course. You're right. Why dare? How could you dare not to share with us and be in bed with this nation and our intelligence? President Trump tweeted out, "It is my opinion that many of the leaks coming out of the White House are fabricated lies made up by the fake news media." Do you think that's a fair tweet to put out there?
Let me say this. I believe that these leaks are designed to undermine and destroy the credibility of this president. Yeah. This White House needs to get their arms around this. And I would say to them, get counterintelligence officers over there. Start polygraphing people. Look, there's absolutely no reason why they haven't been able to determine who in the FBI leaked that Comey memo. That new director of the FBI has the authority to poly those people. I'd have those people on the box right now. And if he can't figure that out in 2 or 3 weeks, he needs to be gone.
And they can do that. They can go in, they can polygraph, they can take it to that level. There's nothing wrong with that?
Absolutely no problem doing that in the FBI. And if I was the President of the United States, I would have people in the White House all sign that they will also be polygraphed. And I would maybe, exclude the National Security Advisor and the Chief of Staff of the White House. But the rest of them, you guys want to leak? Okay, game in town.
Okay. All right. Gary Bernsen, thanks so much for coming on this morning. Very interesting perspective. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All right.
Very good stuff.
Yeah, right.
Well, we're not done yet, though. The time now, 19 minutes after the top of the hour. As most of us honored our fallen heroes this Memorial Day, that's what most people do on that day. Well, one liberal website smearing the Marine Corps, the recruitment ad sparking outrage.
Also, even residents protect and serve in Dallas, Texas. The Good Samaritans who jumped into action after a police officer crashed into a creek. Well, on a day meant to honor our fallen heroes, one website, Vox.com, instead was smearing our Marines as fraternity members with a toxic masculinity problem.
Fox News radio host Todd Starnes is taking on the critics, as he always does, in his 1-minute commentary. Good morning, Todd.
Hey, good morning, Heather. Yeah, while the rest of the nation was commemorating Memorial Day, the far-left loons at Vox.com were busy bashing the military. They published a nasty hit piece accusing the Marine Corps of having a toxic masculinity problem. They went on to say the Marines were have a well-earned reputation for being a fraternity that often marginalizes or mistreats female troops. Well, it sounds to me like Vox has a toxic snowflake problem. As my friend Matt Walsh wrote on Twitter, call me crazy, but I'm pretty sure the Marine Corps is supposed to be both masculine and toxic. But these are the kind of people who want our Marines to prance around into battle wearing high heels and camo rompers. Now, the Vox expose would have caused a meltdown in the Obama Pentagon. Think mandatory group hugs, essential oils, white wine spritzers. But I don't think the Defense Secretary, Mad Dog Mattis, is going to lose any sleep over the flatulent emissions coming from the emasculated pajama boys over at Vox. Semper Fi, America. Back to you.
I don't know. I've known a heel or two that could be used as a weapon. There's really high heels.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Todd, thanks.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, guys.
Well, now let's take a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. Up first, the good. Donald Trump Jr. marking Memorial Day with a grueling CrossFit challenge named after U.S. Navy SEAL Michael Murphy. Now, the Murph Challenge consists of running, pull-ups, push-ups, squats, a normal workout for the fallen hero.
Wow.
The 29-year-old Lieutenant Murphy was killed. That was back in 2005.
All right, next the bad in a base brawl by the Bay.
And the pitch, and he hits Harper. And Harper's going to go out. And now we got a beef.
Oof.
Boy, the pitcher really won that one.
Right.
National star Bryce Harper charging the mound after being hit by a fastball in the hip from Giants pitcher Hunter Strickland, who could fight. Both players throwing punches and both ejected from the game. He really missed with that helmet, too.
Ooh, looking like hockey right there. And finally, the ugly. Thieves strike a California Apple store in broad daylight. Can't really tell what's happening, but customers apparently they were trying to block the exit as the crooks ran out with iPhones and laptops all at this California mall. Apparently, they're still on the run.
Yeah. Mall security at its best.
Away.
Jeez, they just ran right out the door. All right, 25 minutes after the hour, a Baghdad blast, a deadly bombing overnight right outside of an ice cream shop. ISIS claiming responsibility as we get a first look at the damage.
Yeah, and he is connected to deadly terror attacks, but this guy still getting honored, and now veterans are sounding off.
Well, Bill, a lovely day might be a stretch, but at least it's not dumping rain like it was yesterday. Good morning to you. You are watching Fox and Friends First on this Tuesday. I'm Rob Schmidt.
And I'm Heather Childers. Thank you so much for joining us or sticking around with us. You know, the mainstream media has been in a feeding frenzy over Jared Kushner's alleged back-channeling with Russia.
But now a source telling Fox News that they've got it all wrong. Griff Jenkins is live in Washington with the latest developments this morning. Hey, Griff.
Hey, Rob and Heather, good morning. President Trump defiantly defending his son-in-law against back-channel allegations, telling the New York Times, quote, Jared is doing a great job for the country. I have total confidence in him. DHS Secretary John Kelly also defending Kushner over the weekend, saying that establishing communications with countries like Russia is, quote, a good thing. Now, a source close to Kushner tells Fox News that it was the Russians, not Kushner, who first raised the idea of a secret communications channel, and it was only discussed for a single call about Syria, not as a permanent channel, as some in the media have alleged. Former national spokeswoman Katrina Pearson says this will all be cleared up by Kushner.
Jared Kushner was the first person to say that I will go in and I will talk to any of the committees that are investigating this ridiculous allegation. He has never kept anything secret. He said he'll meet with anyone, anytime, for however long it takes to clear up this mess.
But Senator John McCain remains skeptical.
I don't like it. I just don't. I know that some administration officials are saying, well, that's standard procedure. I don't think it's standard procedure prior to the inauguration of a president of the United States by someone who is not in an appointed position.
And Democrats piling on. Representative Ruben Gallego is the latest to call for his security clearance.
He needs to realize that this is the grown-up world now. If he cannot handle his job, he needs to turn in his security clearance and go back to doing real estate in New York City.
And finally, guys, before we hear from Jared Kushner at any one of those Intelligence Committee hearings, Sean Spicer returns to the briefing room today. That should be very interesting. Lots of questions coming.
All right, Griff, thanks so much.
Thanks, Griff. Well, Molly Hemingway, senior editor at The Federalist, also slamming the so-called Kushner controversy, calling it ammunition in the mainstream media's arsenal, and to support a baseless story of collusion.
Journalists in Washington, D.C. are living in some kind of dramatic alternate reality. They are willful participants in a coordinated leak campaign where you get selective information, half-truths. It's always without context. It's frequently incorrect. And then they use this to sort of prove the point that they've already concluded, which is that Donald Trump is a traitor in the White House. And then they backfill with information like this.
All right, switching gears now, a GOP lawmaker calling ICE After unhinged liberal protesters spark a fight right on the House floor in Texas. Things getting physical over an immigration bill there. Kelly Wright live in D.C. this morning with details on some of these violent allegations here. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Rob, how are you this morning? You could call it crazy and physical over the new law cracking down on sanctuary cities in Texas. It turned ugly and hostile. Protesters right there wearing red T-shirts bust in from New York and California. They took their stand against the new law. From the gallery, they shouted so loud they drowned out lawmakers as they conducted their regular session of the Texas legislature. Police officers moving in to remove the protesters from the gallery. But on the House floor, even lawmakers were soon caught up in emotion, pushing and shoving each other in anger. The confrontation triggered by the protesters and some lawmakers exchanging dangerous threats to each other. Republican lawmaker Matt Rinaldi and Democrat Pancho Narvaez verbally threatening each other to hurt each other. Narvaez telling Rinaldi that he would get him. Rinaldi taking to social media, posting this on Facebook. Today, Representative Pancho Narvaez threatened my life on the House floor after I called ICE on several illegal immigrants who held signs in the gallery which said, "I am illegal and here to stay." Several Democrats encouraged the protesters to disobey law enforcement.
We both, what? What do you mean? You did what? He said, yeah, I called ICE. And then he said, F them.
You say things to incite people, okay? And that's exactly what I did.
Not exactly what you would expect them to do, but the heated moments only intensified later when, during a brief news conference, Narvaez claimed Rinaldi said he would put a bullet in his head. All of this volatility stemming from the new Texas law stopping the practice of sanctuary cities. The law goes into effect on September 1st. Opponents vow to challenge it in court. Rob?
Whew.
Yeah. It's away till September, though.
What an environment we're living in right now.
On Memorial Day, no less.
Yeah.
Kelly, thanks so much.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right.
Well, new overnight, ISIS claiming responsibility for a deadly explosion outside an ice cream shop. At least 15 people are dead, dozens injured in a targeted attack on families in Baghdad. A surveillance video showing the car bomb light up the night like a fireball. Look at that. Chaos, panic in the streets, and many Muslims out late breaking their fast for Ramadan. The deadly attack, as we learn, ISIS could be pushed out of Mosul as early as June 10th.
All right, we now know the identity of the Navy SEAL who died after his parachute malfunctioned over the Hudson River here in New York. 27-year-old Remington Peters. Tragic death happening in front of thousands of people at a Fleet Week event, which happened on the river between New Jersey and New York City. A Colorado native, Peters had more than 900 jumps under his belt. He also completed 2 combat deployments. Peters' family members remember the decorated SEAL as a courageous warrior, fiercely loyal to his country. The fallen SEAL honored in a Memorial Day ceremony on the Intrepid ship in New York City.
Well, a group of Good Samaritans jumping into action after a Dallas officer's squad car plunges 30 feet into a creek. Well, a dozen people helping flip the cruiser onto its side. A stolen pickup truck hitting an intersection, apparently, then sending him over a bridge. The driver still on the loose. The officer has a collapsed lung.
And you might want to check the bottom of the pool before you jump in. A family, look at this, finding a massive gator sitting at the bottom of their pool in Sarasota, Florida. Video showing a professional trapper struggling with the beast. The beast trying to, they're trying to pull it out. The alligator was trying to perform a death roll to get him in the pool. That gator later released into the wild. Imagine if they had gone for a night swim and you can't see the bottom of the pool.
No.
Wow.
That's why I don't go for night swims when you can't see the bottom of the pool.
Dangerous stuff.
No. Well, the time now is about 20 minutes until the top of the hour, and the Trump administration vowing to wipe terrorists off the earth. But what if the first step is by wiping them off the internet? Our next guest is a cybersecurity expert. Why he says that we can learn about terrorists from their social media profiles.
And one of the biggest names in sports, maybe the best golfer that's ever lived, could be hitting rock bottom right now. It was a tough one. What Tiger Woods is now saying about his DUI arrest from over the weekend.
Makes me sad to see that. And these campus protesters are furious after their temper tantrum goes public. Apparently, you weren't supposed to see it.